70 millimeter IMAX it actually runs horizontal through the projector. It's the only film projector where the film runs horizontal through it.
Is IMAX 70 millimeter worth it? I recently got the chance to see the Odyssey, the first ever film to be fully shot in that format, IMAX 1570. I just happened to be in Michigan visiting family for a cousin's graduation party, and I realized we were dropping my sister off in Grand Rapids, where one of the only 20 or so theaters in the US can show this, and we were going to be there at 4 a.m., and there were semi-decent seats still open for a 6:45 a.m. showing. So I thought I had to take the opportunity. I live in South Carolina where there are no theaters that can do this, none at all. I would have to drive across state lines otherwise. But the stars aligned and I got an opportunity to do this. So is IMAX 70 millimeter worth it? Is it worth the drive? Is it worth the increased ticket price? Is it worth going out to go see a movie like this? I would say it's going to depend on a couple factors. It's going to depend on what kind of experience you're trying to get, what you care about, and what you're willing to do. If you have a theater that is right by you, I'd say definitely do this. The tickets are, what, $10 more than a normal ticket. If you go in, you are going to get one of the biggest screens you can see. I saw this on an SR screen, which is slightly smaller than a GT screen, but even that was pretty much my full vision. Like, I couldn't really see much else. And the biggest thing for me, at least in the Odyssey, that I noticed was scenes where we transition from light to dark really quickly. We get these thundering booms. That's really intense because you are going from a fully dark auditorium to a fully lit up one. You feel like thunder just hit right in front of you. So that's something that I think is going to be greatly elevated by this type of experience. The sound is also really well done. Obviously, you can get good sound in other formats. You can get good visuals in other formats. But this is top to bottom. It's going to be like almost your whole vision. So if you care about being immersed, I think this is one of the best ways to be immersed in a film. Now, if you've heard about the visual fidelity of IMAX 70 millimeter, I'm going to say it's good. It's great even. I don't think it really looks like way better than 4K or anything. It didn't look especially sharper to me. It looked sharp, but it wasn't like I could suddenly see new details that I wouldn't have been able to seeing this on a 4K screen. Obviously, you compare analog to digital formats, there's a lot of differences. It's kind of apples to oranges. Supposedly, this can achieve what would roughly be equivalent to 12K to a theoretical maximum of like 18K resolution. I would say you're not really going to perceive that. And obviously, this is a film. There is a lot of choices here where there's shallow depth of field. Not everything is always in focus. And that's not the fault of the projector, the format, the screen, or anything. That's an intentional choice of the film. So if you're going to see this solely for that reason, I would say no, it's not worth it. If you are a fan of film, obviously you could see this in regular 70 millimeter or regular 35 millimeter, but I had never seen a projected film in a theater like this, at least not a feature length one. So that was a really cool experience for me. I'm on the younger side, I'm only 26, because I got to see actual artifacts from it. You see little specks of, dust or whatnot, and they only show up for a couple seconds and then they get whisked away by a thing on the projector that's like doing this kind of motion. For some people that might be distracting, but if you're an analog film nut, that's kind of cool to see. There was one deep scratch on our film that caused a bright blue line. It was only there for about 10 seconds. To me, that was cool. If it had been there the whole movie, I would have been like, oh no. But since it was only 10 seconds, I was actually glad that I got to see one because that's something I'd read about but never seen. So things like that might actually take you out of the movie more than immerse you. But if it's something you want to see, it's a cool opportunity. I don't know that every theater is doing this, but at Celebration Cinemas, where I saw this in Grand Rapids, Michigan, you could exit out the back and you could walk past the projector room and you could see them doing, the stuff with the reel, then rethreading it after the movie. We actually had an employee come out and talk to us for an extended time. That was a cool experience. That was like a museum exhibit or something. If you care about like film and formats and your theater does that, I would absolutely take the opportunity. You really do get a sense of vastness and scale with this. I mean, the screen is huge. Anytime we had a small boat in the ocean, it was like, I'm in the ocean. Anytime you had a vast landscape, it was like, I'm there. Anytime you had people talking, it was like, wow, their heads are really big. Now, I think a film like this, I think most films will be perfectly fine without a screen like this. The Odyssey that I saw is an engaging film. I would say if you're going to watch a movie like Dune 3, I don't know that this would be the best because that prologue kind of bounces back and forth between formats kind of sporadically. And in many ways, it took me out of the film rather than immersed me. It didn't feel like the aspect ratios were changing with intent, at least in the early version of the 10-minute or whatever prologue that I got to see. Might be better by the time the actual film comes out. Anytime a scene is very bright, if you're paying close attention, you might be able to see a little bit of flickering. I mean, there's a reason movies are called flicks originally. I didn't find this distracting, but I wonder if people who are sensitive to that might be affected or a little perturbed. But to me, it was really cool. So if you're someone who is interested in analog formats, I think this is going to provide a lot of great opportunities. If you're not, those elements are going to be distracting to you. They might actually just take you out and you might be disappointed. If you're interested in visual fidelity, this is a great looking screen. It's not magical or anything though. You're not going to be like, wow, that's better than 4K. I mean, 4K in most instances is already going to be close to the maximum of what you can perceive depending on screen size and distance. If sharpness is all you care about, you're probably going to be better to watch this digitally in like a well-done laser setup or on an OLED or something. But if you care about big screen, you care about big sound, you care about immersion, or you care about analog film, then yes, I would see this if you have the opportunity. Is this something I would drive more than an hour for? Probably not. I would say if you have one that's within an hour distance, that is absolutely take the opportunity. 2 hours, if you're really passionate about it. 3 hours, I'd say no, but maybe for some people. I'm glad I got the opportunity to see one of these. And I found out there's one in Georgia near where my parents live. So if I get the opportunity to go again, I would see another film done like this. Now, I've seen other films done in what format junkies call IMAX. I saw Avatar 2 and 3D at the Regal Sandhills in South Carolina, and that wasn't really that impressive to me. I saw Project Hail Mary there in IMAX. That was slightly more impressive to me, but it still wasn't anything where I thought it was worth the increased price in the ticket. Now, I was listening from my friends for Avatar. They were like, well, 3D is going to take away from the resolution. A lot of it's upscaled. It's not truly shot in IMAX or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So when you're talking about formats, you need to be looking into, is the movie actually done in this format? The Odyssey is the first movie to be fully done in IMAX 70 millimeter. So if you get the chance to see that, that's going to be the best representation of the format. A lot of people go to an IMAX theater and they don't know there's a big range of discrepancies between what IMAX is. I would definitely look into that online, see what the actual specs of your theater near are you, because if it's something that's just been retrofitted, it's probably not worth the increase in price for your ticket. But those are some of my thoughts on this format. Let me know what you think. If you had a wildly different experience, share in the comments. I think it'd be cool to add to the resources so people can be a little bit more informed about what they're going to watch and why.
Jumps of each other, so.
And you have to do the two projectors just because the reel's too big.
Actually, no. So the case right now is our backup. Actually, we're actually just using the one. Christopher Nolan conveniently knows about exactly how long a reel or the platters are, or how much film we can fit on a platter. You notice most of his movies are like just under 3 hours long. We're pretty sure that's intentional because he knows how much film fits on here. So with Oppenheimer, we actually had to add those orange rings as extenders because it was just too long for the platters. So they had IMAX has them go around the country in every single projector they had because the movie was just a little too long. Luckily for us, this one was about 5 minutes shorter, I think, so it fits. Technically, it fits without the extenders, but it's still pretty much right on the end. If this was any bigger, like I said, if this was even probably 10 minutes longer, we'd have to split it in half and run it as a first half and a second half, and that's when we would use both projectors. The other reason we have two also is we used to run 3D film back in the day, so you would use it to where each projector was, and that's what the 3D effect. But 3D film is even less common than film now, so.
Are these two on the left for like the not 70 millimeter?
Yeah, those are our standard digital. Yep.
Excuse me?
So that's what 95% of our presentations are. The cool thing is that they're all on rails, as you can see, so we can actually move them around as we need to. So when we were doing training, some of our newer film projectionists, like Logan, who's in there now, we would come in at like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, slide the digitals out of the way, put the film in. We have the first 6 minutes of Interstellar somewhere that we don't know why we still have it, but we do. So that was our test loop. So we've all seen the first 6 minutes of Interstellar like 100 times. That's when we'd come in, we'd run it 5 or 6 times in the morning, and then when it was time for the digital shows, we'd switch everything back and get back up for whatever our standard show was. So he's always going to start with some cleaning, which is not the most exciting.
Can you like handle the film just with your hands? You guys wear gloves?
So the cool thing with this system is we at the very beginning of the film and at the very end of the film is what we refer to as bugs. It's called leader. It's blank film. So when he's actually threading it here in a moment, he's touching film that will never actually play. It's just something to hold on to. So yeah, in that case, we can be a little rougher. That's why it was on the floor a second ago. That's okay because this isn't part of the movie. This is what we call the tail, but essentially it's the same thing. It's just blank film. So that this we can handle. We can go through quickly. But when we're doing the building process and we're putting all the reels together, yeah, we absolutely wear gloves because at that point we're touching the actual film.
So the tail's put on sort of as a handle.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, yep. Okay. Yeah, it gives us something much less significant to hold on to.
You guys have one copy, just one copy.
Yeah, yep, one copy. So there's actually 41 in the world. Right after we printed everything, someone somewhere in the world added a print. Like whatever, we're just gonna leave the signs. But so we estimate that they probably made about 45 or 46 prints total. So they have a few extras in a warehouse as a backup, but that's it. They don't make any more. So. So the inside of the film, our leader that I was talking about, that blank film, is on the center right now. And he'll pull from there, and then he'll thread it. And then on that bottom platter, so we're going to go from, that's technically deck 3 that he's working on now. So we're going to go from deck 3 to deck 4, and then we start in the center, and then it technically rewinds itself.
Do you have to splice those threads together?
Yeah, yep.
How long is the run for the Odyssey?
We just got, we just officially got added a 5th week. So yesterday we were booked for 4, and this morning we're booked for 5. So,
Heard it here first.
Yeah. That's not, I mean, it could go longer, but it's all up to IMAX.
Yeah.
And what they want to do. I think there's a chance if they went 5, I think they're going to go 6. That's kind of my hunch, but we just need them to confirm that.
Did you guys add these like 6:45 show times for demand, or was that always part of the plan?
That was kind of always part of the plan, but Oppenheimer sold out. We ran 4 shows daily for Oppenheimer, and it had no issue selling out. So this guy specifically was kind of like, we can go more. So we just kind of always built on it. Yeah, and this guy pretty much right here.
Instead of 4 weeks or 4 a day, now it's for this movie. It's more than that.
Yeah, this week it's 5. Starting next Monday, we go back down to. No, sorry, right now it's 6. Next Monday we go back to 5. So we just pull it down just a little bit. The IMAX camera that we used was too loud to record dialogue, so you physically couldn't. You couldn't hear the actors over the sound of the camera because no one was there. So you went to IMAX and said, "Hey, I want to film a movie entirely in IMAX. Will you help me?" When it winds up onto the bottom deck, and then he's going to put in this silver device after he gives that a quick clean. So the thing he's holding onto now is what we refer to as the feed unit, or as we affectionately call the FU. So this is actually, or it's also known as the brain. It's actually what's controlling those decks. He's got one other thing he's got to do first, and he's going to put that in there. But it's actually controlling those decks. So those decks will speed up and slow down throughout the course of the movie to make sure that the film is flowing at the speed it wants to. If it senses some tension, the deck will spin faster. If it doesn't sense some tension, it will slow down.
Does that change the speed of film?
No, no, it's just the way it's paying out. The film only goes through at one speed. It's actually driven by the projector itself, and it runs at 24 frames per second, which is the standard for pretty much any movie you're ever going to see, unless James Cameron's involved. But yeah, so it's driven through here, but because film doesn't like the tension, the deck needs to pay it out at that speed, so it'll kind of fluctuate just to make sure that the film's flowing. And then he's getting a handful of film here. That's going to be his first step. And then he's going to start threading. And the reason he's doing that is because there's I don't think we'll be able to see it from here, but there's a little silver piece of tape on the film itself. And that's detected. There's a sensor on the projector, and when it detects that tape, it's going to stop during his loading process. And that tape is really important. It's exactly 8 seconds before the first frame, because it takes the projector 8 seconds to get to full speed. So we have to stop now, technically at -8 seconds, so that when he pushes play, it gives it time for the projector to warm up and hit max speed, so that when you see the first frame of that Dune prologue, you're seeing it at 24 frames per second.
Is that on the film strip?
Yep. It's on film that never's actually going to play, so it's not interrupt.
I'm sorry, the prologue.
Oh yeah, that's all part of there too. Yep, absolutely. So yeah,
Are trailers normally part of the film strip, or are they?
Normally no, because again, we don't have room for them. Like I said, we could maybe fit one more trailer on here, but other than that, no. We were actually a little hesitant about the Dune prologue because we didn't know how long it was at first. They just said, "Hey, can you throw this on here?" And we were like, maybe." Like I don't actually know if we have room for it, but luckily it was shorter than we thought. So
Is that like by theater? You guys got to choose to do that here, but in other theaters that are showing this, they might not have that.
I mean, Dune is Warner Brothers. They were very like, you guys can do this, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like they didn't give us a ton of choice.
Okay.
But it was kind of one of those like we're asking, not asking things.
Okay.
So, all right, so he's starting now. So you can see as he's pulling that film, it is spinning that deck because again, it's detecting that tension. So as he's pulling. Yep, exactly. There's 24 8s and 24 7s and so on and so forth. So,
And the fact that you can see that from this distance shows you how big the actual
absolutely.
frames are.
So he's going to start this up, go through, this is what we refer to as the roller matrix. This is really just here, again, kind of help control tension on the film because, again, it doesn't like being pulled too tight. And then also he's setting our height so that when he goes over to the projector now, it's at the exact right height for the intake side of the projector there. Because that's the only way you can get it into the projector, so it has to be at that exact height.
Do you swap them out sometimes to back up in the main, or you just let the workhorse?
Yeah, so typically we really don't even consider switching projectors until the lamp expires.
Oh, okay.
So it's a 7,000 watt lamp in each projector. They're good for about 600 hours. So with us running 24 hours, that's going to be less than normal, but it's usually a little less than 2 months we get out of each lamp. So we changed this one pretty early on, so we'll run this one as long. This one should be good for this entire run, but if it does get to the point, then we'll consider switching to the other just to kind of keep the wear even and stuff.
I thought the quality of the movie was like incredible, but there were a couple of spots where you see like a couple of artifacting things, little horizontal line that stays for a couple frames.
Yeah, that's
like that's expected.
Yeah, right.
Something this long.
That one scared us at first because we didn't.
That's when you know it's not AI.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that those were they're something from production,
Just unique to this reel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think we thought it was a scratch that we did at first, but I think it's too perfect.
For something as complex as this, it's like you can't do anything.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why a lot of people went away from film, because if it breaks, it breaks. It's not something you can turn off and turn back on and just start running it again. It's very tangible. If it tears, if it breaks, if it scratches, it's pretty much done. The good thing is, like I said, there are extra reels, so if we ever did need them, we can contact Universal and say, hey, we lost, reels 4, 5, and 6. Can you send those to us? Yeah.
Okay.
But if they say, hey, those have already been claimed, then we're completely out of luck. So.
Do you have space in this room to do that kind of repair?
Yeah. I'm in the presentation department, so I service all of our theaters. We do all our own audio. So we're in charge of all 11 locations in Michigan that we have. And I have things that I need to be doing, but I just want to stand here and talk about film because Because you can walk someone through a digital booth and it's just there's nothing to see. It's like here's a box with it's a box with a light in it, and some computer stuff.
Make sure you point at the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not exciting anymore. So that's why when this was happening, I was like, I'm going to spend every day I possibly can here until something else goes wrong. I'm going to be here talking about film. So
what are the stats again for the U.S.? How many are in the U.S.?
16.
16.
Yep, we're the only one in the state of Michigan. I think Indianapolis is technically the next closest to us.
Okay.
So even that's 4 or 5.
We're in the Philly area. I couldn't recall. I know we have tons of IMAX theaters, but I don't think we have anything that's like this. You get to go to New York, probably.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot more 70 millimeter. Like I said, the IMAX 70 is only 16. So that's the other thing is that some people, like kind of you're saying, some people don't know the difference between the two, and they think it's the same thing, and then once you realize it's not, it's
the size of it's not only the size of the screen, but it's obviously the film. The cameras are all different.
Absolutely.
But,
So he's gonna wind up his last little bit here. Again, he's gonna wrap that around that ring on the bottom in a moment, and that's what gives it enough tension to be the spot where it takes up, and then at that point the thread's more or less done. At this point he's just gonna be doing a ton of double and triple checking because again, if you get one little roller wrong, it could cause the film to do something we don't want it to do. So and then the next show is 25 minutes still, so and then that's going to be his break for this. Otherwise, he doesn't leave this room for the entire duration of the film, just because something could always go wrong. So he'll get 20 minutes off now, and he can go do whatever he needs to do, and then he'll be back in time for the next start. So.
Hey, thanks for the information. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, happy to be here. This is more fun than work. So thanks for listening.
Some of the directors effort heating's off.
Yeah, that's all. Yep, it's taking heat out. Yep, there's no active cooling on these. All the mechanics spin very rapidly, so that kind of creates some cooling just from airflow. But there's no active cooling. Yeah.
You have to worry about like dust control.
Yeah. Right after the lens, so between the lens and the screen, it's actually called a field flattener. It's this piece of plexiglass that's 2 film widths tall, and it actually shifts up and down throughout the course of the show, and it does that to clean dust. So it shifts about every 20 seconds. So if you ever notice, it'll be a little speck of dust, and then you see it go, then it goes flat. That's because this flattener is moving. And sometimes it comes back and the dust is still there, like it didn't clean it properly, so then you have to wait again. But it does that. I think we have it set for 20 seconds right now. So every 20 seconds it shifts just to kind of help clean whatever gets stuck. Because you understand there's so much movement, so much air, it does get dusty very quickly. That's part of the reason why he was cleaning so thoroughly too. The newer the print, actually the dirtier it is because there's an emulsion left on the film from when they actually printed it. It leaves this kind of like sticky purple stuff behind. So, like I said, it's always worse when it's newer. So that's why we're doing a bunch of cleaning now. When we get to like the 5th or 6th week, we probably won't have to clean it as much because there's less on the film specifically. That dust is definitely a concern just because it's just the way that everything's moving. So now he's doing his little. This is what we refer to as our auto load. So it's running through and so it detects that silver tape that I mentioned, which should be right about there. So that's like a third of the normal speed when we do that. It just gives a chance for everything to go through, then we can detect that tape and then it'll shut itself back off. And then he's going to load that, or move that projector, slide it back forward into its show position, and then at that point, like I said, he's done until it's time to start this. So.
Do you notice like an accumulation of like scratches and things like over a run?
Oh yeah, I mean it's very normal. I mean our goal is to not scratch the entire thing, pretty much. Like, and especially the deepness of the scratches is really the big issue. You can actually scratch, like light scratches, you'll see little black lines here and there, and usually if it happens, it goes quick and it's not that big of a deal. But if you scratch it deep enough, it actually cuts into the celluloid, and you get this like bright green scratch. And unfortunately, that happened to us with Oppenheimer. Since they're not here, we actually paid. IMAX paid for some projectionists to come run this booth with us with Oppenheimer because we didn't have anyone fully trained. So their professional projectionists scratched our print, which was very disheartening. But it was scratched so deeply you could see this bright green, like a lime green color. And in that movie being black and white, or at least most of it was black and white, it was the most distracting thing. So that was really unfortunate. If you get the little black lines, it just kind of reminds you you're watching film, and like it doesn't take you out of it. But when you see different colors, especially in a black and white movie, it was awful. So. But luckily, in that case, like I said, we were able to contact Universal. They sent us, I think we scratched 5 reels before someone caught it. So we called them, and they had those reels available, and they sent them to us, and we were able to replace them. It's just we had to run it. We were down. Well, we had to run it with that scratch for a few days at least. So.